But let's be honest here, where does most of the negativity come from? Not from other riders, not from your family, maybe. Probably not from your spouses, especially if they already are riding dirt. It comes from within, from ourselves.
Lube your chain and pump up those tires. It's time for Aging on Dirt, where we defy expectations one pedal stroke at a time. We age, but we don't have to get old, and we all want to experience the joy of mountain biking as long as possible. Are you starting to ride at an unreasonable age, getting back into it after a long layoff, or just wanting to extend how long you'll be riding? Then you're in the right place. And now, your host, Joel Zieve.
Hey there, riders. Welcome to Aging on Dirt, a podcast for all of us mountain bike riders who want to continue to ride single track for as long as possible. I'm your host, Joel Zieve, and I'll be guiding you through this journey, which starts right now, this very first episode. So, what's this podcast going to be all about? Well, here's the podcast description, and for those of you who have told me that I have a voice for print, I'm going to read it to you in my best podcast voice. You ready? Mountain bikes have improved dramatically recently, yet as we age, many of us are riding less. Why? Join Northern Utah's local trail legend Joel Zieve as he interviews global experts and inspiring locals who refuse to let age slow them down and who are defying expectations one pedal stroke at a time. Each episode is packed with actionable tips and inspiring stories to help you keep the dirt flying no matter what your age. I'm not sure which one you'd rather hear going forward, but the fake podcast voice is just too much work. So you're gonna get my real voice. This first podcast is gonna be short and sweet, as I'm just gonna explain what you can expect from it beyond that brief description. So where did this defying expectations come from? That's part of the description. Most of the riders that I talked to about this podcast before starting it have told me that they've gotten some sort of grief from friends or family when they learn that they're riding on dirt this late in life. This includes my wife, who just started riding last year at age 60. Don't tell her that I shared the age with you. Plenty of negative from her mom and some of her friends too. But let's be honest here, where does most of the negativity come from? Not from other riders, not from your family, maybe. Probably not from your spouses, especially if they already are riding dirt. It comes from within, from ourselves. So just stop that negative self-talk. We can all help each other with this because we've all got it. And just get out there and enjoy the riding as much as possible based on what you want to get out of it and the skills that you've got. So what can you expect from this podcast? First, let's talk about frequency. I am not going to have a regular schedule. I'm doing this for fun and a way to give back. Being on a schedule honestly just seems like way too much work. And if the guests or the topics aren't of interest to me, then that's going to feel like work. So I'll be pausing or stopping it if that ever happens. I'll drop a new episode whenever I stumble upon a compelling topic or snag an inspiring guest to share their wisdom. Think of Aging on Dirt as your curated library of dirt knowledge and stories, all tailored to keep you riding into your golden years and hopefully beyond. The content, this is honestly where you come in. This is no solo ride. I may be sharing some of my own thoughts and experiences from time to time, but most of the time I'm going to be having guests, both local legends and global experts. But the real gold is going to come from you. What are you struggling with on the trails? What keeps you stoked when your mind is willing, but your body says you need another rest day? What topics and guests do you want to hear from? Seriously, without your input, this is going to be a fairly short-lived podcast. So please get those requests to me. Don't get me wrong. I've got great ideas from many of you already. Here's just a partial list. And of course, all of these things will have the twist that we all want. How this applies to us as we're aging on dirt and riding on bikes. not what you find most out there, which is geared toward riders, seems to be geared toward riders under 35. So what's in store for you? Training, nutrition, recovering, days off, the mental aspects of riding, safety tips for riding solo ventures and also on group rides, plus bike tech, geometry, and gear that can basically make our time in the saddle more enjoyable and more comfortable. I've got a mind-blowing list of guests in mind, global experts and local Utah legends that many of you are going to know who are on my wish list. It's really kind of too early to name drop. So you're just going to need to wait and see who I come up with. As for locals, they're going to be featured at least two ways. Episodes, probably, maybe, with multiple guests at a time, called Tales from the Local Trails, and another featuring couples who ride together, called Chained Together, Finding Love and Flow on the Trail. So how fun is this going to be, huh? There are a couple things that you won't be getting with Aging on Dirt that I wanted to cover real quick. I'm not going to cover how to maintain your bike. YouTube's got you covered with so much great content. I'm just not going to be able to add any real value to that at all. So if you want to know how to do something specifically on your bike, reach out to me and I'll get you one or more of my favorite YouTube videos on the topic. I've got pages of them bookmarked. The second thing I won't be covering is how to ride your mountain bike. Right, that makes no sense for a mountain bike coach to not cover bike riding technique, does it? So hear me out on this. People learn in really 4 different ways: reading, listening, watching, and doing. But the best way most people learn is a combination of all 4 of them. So when it comes to an activity that requires so much mental and physical technique, like mountain biking, skiing, really most sports, reading and listening on their own seems to be the less preferred and least effective. For mountain bike coaching, most of my clients find the best solution is a multimodal approach, if you will, which involves listening, watching, and doing. Also, with such a technical sport like mountain biking, the learning must have a feedback loop. This is where coaching comes into play, of course. Skills are either going to build slowly or poorly or incorrectly or all the above without the proper coaching and getting feedback. So I'm not going to set any kind of false expectations with you by trying to describe skills on a podcast when what you really need is personalized coaching. Hope that explains why riding techniques won't be topics with Aging on Dirt. I hope I've done a good job explaining what you can expect from this podcast, and most importantly, made you realize that by joining in, we're all counting on you to help Aging on Dirt become a great community of joy, wisdom, and shared stoke. So dust off your helmet, lube that chain, pump up those tires, and get ready to conquer the trails with the most joy possible. This is your ride, and we're just getting started. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, drop me a line on social media, text me, or heck, even the old-fashioned way of picking up the phone and calling. And let's keep the conversation rolling. See what I did there? Until next time, have fun and be safe out there, my riding friends.
Well, that's another lap around the bike park for Aging on Dirt. I hope you've learned something and or found this entertaining. Most importantly, go out and apply what you've learned so you can experience more joy on your bike. Remember, Joel wants your input. What topics and or guests do you want to hear? Reach out to him where you're listening to the podcast, on Facebook, or find his email/phone on his coaching website, jzmtb.com. Until next time, have fun and be safe out there.